I'm so honored to be a part of this year's IUPAC Breakfast Women Program, and the theme is one that is very dear to my heart, which is breaking barriers in science. And I'll be your facilitator for this session on developing STEM skills. A little bit about me. I am a higher ed professional. I'm a university lecturer at the University of Port Harcourt, Nigeria, at the Department of Biochemistry, where I teach different levels of students, and I'm also an academic coach. It means I am committed to providing students with the tools they need to achieve the academic goals. I help students develop a love for learning and also help them acquire 21st century skills. So I'm looking forward to a very enriching time with this session with you. So in this session, I'm going to be talking about STEM in general, just more like an introductory aspect of what is STEM. I also talk about STEM at the secondary school level and what it looks like at the tertiary level. I'll talk about some STEM myths, some misconceptions many people have about STEM. I'll also talk about skills and attitudes that you need in STEM. Then I'll talk about how to develop STEM skills, which is more like the crux of my presentation. And lastly, I'm going to share my story on the importance of mentorship. So in session, I'll be available to take whatever questions you have at the end of the presentation. What comes to your mind when you think about STEM? Do you imagine the part of the plant that is very hard to touch? No. Now, the STEM we're talking about here is an acronym for science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. That's the acronym STEM. And I know a number of you must have heard about the word STEM, because I know from the audience some of you are still in your high school while some are already at the tertiary level. That's good. So STEM integrates all four disciplines and their associated practice to create a student-centered environment. In this environment, students are encouraged to investigate, engineer solutions to problems, and explain real-world phenomena, real-world occurrences. So this is what actually STEM empowers you to do, to investigate, to profile solutions to the problem, and also explain these real-world occurrences as we observe. Now, what does STEM look like at the secondary school level? So most of the subjects you're seeing here are already very familiar to you. You have biology, physics, robotics, computer science, chemistry, trigonometry, calculus, basic technology, and you also have computer programming. So this is what STEM looks like at the secondary level. Now, if I was to ask you, those particular subjects you saw earlier, can you place them into the various STEM disciplines? All right. So if I was to ask you now, which of these subjects fall under the science discipline? Do you know them? Okay. Now, biology, chemistry. What about technology? That is very obvious, right? Basic technology. So we have the idea that these subjects you find in the secondary school level, they all fall into one or more of the categories of the STEM field. Okay, now at the tertiary school level, that's at the university level, now the STEM subjects now become STEM programs. Take for instance, you have something like biochemistry. Biochemistry, can you still remember the root subjects? Biology and chemistry. Can you see that now? So the subjects you're learning at the secondary school level sort of becomes the building block that makes up the program at the university level. So we have applied physics, we have something like maths and statistics, biotechnology. So you see biology and basic technology, etc. So several courses that you can choose from at the university level. I want to briefly talk about the STEM gap. The essence of this is for you to understand what is currently happening now. We see that of the professionals we have, less than 30% of these professionals are women. The STEM professionals we currently have, less than 30% of them are women. This is what the statistics say. And we have less than 35% of STEM students in higher education that are women. So what does it tell you? What does this statistics mean to you when you hear things like in a particular program we have fewer females who are enrolled in that program? What does it mean to you? What does it tell you? Okay, you can let me know during the question and answer session. It means for me that we need more representation in the STEM field. We're trying to break the barrier in science. And that's what the theme of this year's program is about, breaking the barrier in science. So we need more representation. We need more young girls like you to come into the STEM field. And that will briefly lead me to talk about some myths about STEM education. A myth is something that is not true, but it's being peddled around as the truth. That's what a myth is. So let's talk about certain myths about STEM education. The first one is that STEM is not a girl's thing. Is this true? Now, let's talk about reality. Reality shows that as early as primary schools, both boys and girls have great attitudes towards science. So that talk about STEM not being a girl's thing, it's not true. It's a myth. Now let's look at another myth. Men are always better than women when it comes to STEM. No, that's not true. This is not to start a gender war. Both women and men have equal potentials to excel in STEM programs and careers. This is what the reality is. Now let's look at another STEM myth. STEM is too complicated and difficult. That's what a number of people, and this is what sort of creates a phobia in some young girls, that they don't want to study STEM subjects, go for STEM programs, because they feel it's going to be too difficult, it's going to be complicated, and this is like a fixed mindset a number of people have. Now, you see this. The reality is that STEM can be quite challenging. That's the truth, but it is not impossible. So it means that when you're coming into STEM, you're going to do a STEM subject or even a program, it requires patience and dedication. I'll share more about that, about the skills, okay? Now, it requires patience and dedication, and that's the truth. Whatever subject, whatever is worth doing well, it will require you to give dedication to that thing. Now, let's look at the fourth myth. STEM is too boring. It's not for girls, because girls are going to find it boring. There's nothing interesting in STEM. That's not true. Let's look at the reality. The reality is that STEM education and career would offer you an exciting opportunity. You get to explore the world and solve problems in several creative ways. Are you using the science route or the technology route or the engineering route or the mathematics route? They all work together to solve problems in a creative way. So this is the reality. So I'm going to ask you a question now, and you can let me know during the session when I'm going to take questions. Which of these myths do you think will do the most damage to a girl, and why do you think so? Think about this for a bit, then I will move to the next part of my presentation. So while you're thinking about that, let's see some notable Nigerian women in STEM. We have Adebola Adeyi, the convener of this program. She is an associate professor of analytical and environmental chemistry, and she's doing well. She's a woman who is doing well in STEM. And we have Temigiwa Tubosin. She's the founder of LifeBank, and she is doing something great in the field of health tech. So they're talking about using drones to supply blood to much needed areas, especially rural places where access may be a challenge. So you can talk about groundbreaking science. Then you have this lovely young lady here, Adora Modo. She's a software engineer at Microsoft. See how beautiful she looks. And she is in STEM. So we're shattering that stereotypes that like women, we don't have place in STEM. That's not true. Okay. So let's talk about STEM skills in proper. Now, these are skills that help abilities that allow individuals to identify, understand, and solve problems in science, technology, engineering, and mathematics areas. So STEM skills are those abilities, okay, and they enable you to do a number of things. And what I want you to know about STEM skills is that they are a combination of skills, knowledge, and attitudes, and you develop them through hands-on activities. That's the beauty about STEM. It's not just theory all through. No, you get to engage in hands-on activities, and while engaging in these activities, you build the STEM skills, okay? And see, they are very valuable to learn, especially if you intend to pursue a career in the field of science, technology, engineering, and maths, okay? So this is what STEM skills is. Examples of STEM skills. We have problem-solving skills, creativity, scientific inquiry, the ability to investigate things in a systematic manner. We have engineering design thinking. This is enables you to like model things, prototyping. That's what it enables you to. When we have critical thinking, data analysis, you're able to get interpretation of information from data. We also have skills like mathematical proficiency. We have communication skills, which is very important in STEM because you have to know how to convey information in a manner that someone else, your audience, can understand you. These are just examples of STEM skills. And the beauty of the skills is that they are transferable. You can apply them in different fields, in different areas. That's the beauty of STEM skills. Certain attitudes you would need as a young girl, as a young woman to succeed in STEM. And one of them is grit. You need to have grit, resilience. That's courage not to give up. You need to have the attitude of gratitude, being thankful for where you are, how far you've come in your journey. You have to be optimistic. That's the attitude of belief that things are going to have a positive outcome. Yes, you need that in STEM. Most times you're engaging in a project, you don't even know the outcome, but you just have to believe that no matter what, things are going to turn out fine. And you also have to be adaptable. This is a very vital skill to attitude to have, especially if you are coming into STEM. Okay, so think about this attitude for a moment and know that all those attitudes are things that we can grow. We all have potential to have them. We all just have to be intentional about building and cultivating this attitude. How to develop STEM skill? The first one is to participate in STEM programs and activities. This is one way for you to cultivate, to learn, and to improve upon your STEM skills. So we have activities like science fairs, coding programs, hackathons. These are activities that will support you as a young girl, as a young lady who is interested in making a career in STEM, to learn and to grow. Okay, so now by participating in these programs, you will see that your STEM skills, you would pick up STEM, you will be able to learn more and to also develop your STEM skills. Then the next way is seek mentorship. What we are having now, this breakfast program, is also a networking opportunity where you can learn from successful women in STEM field. People like Prof are those who have gone ahead. You can learn from those who have gone ahead of you in this STEM journey. You can learn from their challenges, the mistakes they made, and how you can advance your own career in STEM. So mentorship is so important, okay? And the next is to take STEM classes and online courses. Now, we are living in an age of digital access and information. So there are courses online you can take to learn more. Are you interested in robotics? What are you interested about? What area of STEM are you interested about? I assure you there's a course for it. We have things like Coursera, online course repositories where you can go and learn about. Then we have Khan Academy, especially for those of you who are still in secondary school. Khan Academy has amazing resources. You can learn about different practicals, different subjects when it comes to STEM. Okay, so these are ways for you to develop STEM skills. Okay. Now, the next one is to engage in hands-on learning experiences. So when we have things like practicals, simulations, these are opportunities for you to practice, and in real world, you get real-world experiences about what is actually happening in this subject. So it's a very interesting one. Another way of developing STEM skill is to explore and experiment with different technologies. Right now, there are various technologies. We have design technologies. We have certain simulation and technologies. Several software, especially if you're interested in coding and the technology and tech aspect. Wow, there are a number of programming languages you can learn, and you experiment. From there, you see, oh, this is the one I want to pursue further in. Very wonderful way to develop STEM skill. Then the last but not the least is volunteer in a STEM-related field. So a volunteer is someone that engages in an activity. The person may or may not be paid, but when you're volunteering in a STEM-related field, it will expose you to what that career actually looks like. It's a good way for you to get first-hand experience of what a career. So if you're considering like a career path, you can volunteer actually in that particular field and to just see what it is about. And you can volunteer in multiple fields. So that way you have like a more grounded view of the career path you want to take. Okay, so far I've talked about participating in STEM programs and activities. Mentorship is so vital. STEM classes, taking STEM classes, engaging in hands-on learning experiences. You explore and experiment different technologies, then you volunteer. Okay, personally, my story, I want to share about the power of mentorship. Mentorship is so vital, especially when it comes to being a female in STEM. It's so helpful when you see someone like you who have gone ahead. I'm a product of great mentorship. I've had the privilege of being mentored by great women. My PhD supervisors, both of them were both women. And it's so helpful because I was a young mom. At a point during my program, I was pregnant and I eventually had my baby, which is on the screen there. Like, having these women as my mentors, as my guides during this program was so helpful because they understood the struggles of motherhood and they supported me. There were times where I could have given up. I was like, oh, can I do this? She was like, no, persevere, you would get to the end. And they were there every step of the way, guiding me through. So the importance of mentorship, that is one vital, very powerful way of developing STEM skills. So it worked for me, and I'm very sure it can also work for you as well. So these are the key lessons I want you to know, okay? That STEM skills can provide you with opportunities to change your life, your community, and your world. Now, the next is that having mentors and role models as a young girl, as a young lady on the path of progressing through the STEM career would keep you on track towards achieving your goals and take advantage of the resources that are available. Now, by taking advantage of it, it will help you develop a strong foundation of STEM skills. It will also help you to become a more confident and capable student and professionals. So these are the key lessons for these sessions. Okay, thank you for listening, and if you have any questions, you can find me at this my site and with the number. So I'll be available to take whatever questions you have. Thank you so much.